Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me today. My name is Derek Mitchell. My email is niagaraedge@gmail.com, and I'm just here to talk a little bit about life and what we're going to do in December to cope with everything that we have going on. My email is niagaraedge@gmail.com. If you do like the video, I'm trying to think of what to say. If you do like the video, please like the video. If you haven't subscribed and you want to, please do so. So I'm here today. It's a beautiful Sunday. It's cold, but it's a very nice day as far as not being overly bad weather here in December, early December 2016. And I just thought I'd come on and say hello to everybody and talk about coping strategies in three different categories. One is, of course, food and exercise. Second is financial, and the third is emotional. What can we do in this holiday season? And I'm a Christian. I believe in the Christmas period, so I do take those seriously, enjoy the time, and I look forward to uh, getting through this period with as little stress as possible. So what you want to do is put a plan together so you can have that happen. I'll just be upfront and say I've been working and from a food and exercise point of view for about a couple of years now in understanding what strategies work for me as far as eating patterns to be able to keep healthy and at a good weight. And I think I've done a pretty good job. I certainly wouldn't say that I'm exactly where I want to be. I probably got 15 or 20 pounds to take off, but I'm satisfied with the efforts. I find myself stable and to a point where I know the foods I'm eating are going to be good for me and they're not going to make me feel badly. Um, I do look at a strategy of 90% of the time eating the proper way, the way I like to, which is low carb, ketogenic eating, fatty meats, some dairy, some vegetables, low carb, of course, and fats like coconut oil, healthy fats. So I stay away from vegetable oils and that kind of thing. Some olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oils, those are kind of oils that I have. I love stir fries, I love eating. So definitely food is a pleasure of mine. I've found a way to do some dessert type foods that are not that don't use sugar. They use sugar substitutes using stevia and erythritol, and those combinations have a very similar texture and taste to sugar, so it allows me to do it without having the sugar effect on my body. I try to keep them to a minimum, of course, but it is nice to be able to have the sweet treats every now and then. I'm a coffee lover. I've got my coffee here right beside me, and so coffee for some people works and some people it doesn't. You need to experiment on yourself to see what happens. And if you like coffee and it causes you're sensitive to it, then you may want to consider only having a cup a day or just removing it for a while and see how your body responds. That's experimentation. Call it N=1 experimentation. So N being the amount of participants in the study, and 1 meaning, in my case, me. So what do I do during the December period for food and exercise? I'm planning to be sure that most of the time I still continue to eat low carbohydrate ketogenically, but I know there's going to be challenges around the time closer to Christmas. At work, we're going to have events, maybe even some potlucks, maybe even sweets and stuff like that will be available. I've heard through the grapevine that the company's considering bringing food on premises during some of the Christmas period. So I got to decide what I'm going to do at that point to be able to, be happy and eat properly, but also indulge a little and be social and, be a part of the team and all that kind of thing. So what am I going to do? Most of the time, 90-10 is the rule. So most of the time, even leading up to that, I'm still going to keep to eating properly the way I like to. And then occasionally I'm going to make a decision to eat the kind of food that are offered or available. And I'll keep it to a minimum. But during the period, I think I'm going to plan for going off course somewhere around the 22nd, 23rd of December, and then get right back to strict ketogenic eating after the 1st of January. So that week or week and a bit, I'm going to plan to indulge a little bit. Now, I got to be careful. Last year, I indulged a little too much, and I ended up getting a gallstone stuck, and I had to go to the hospital for a few days. So if you can avoid doing stuff that gets you in the hospital, especially here in Niagara, because they don't have a lot of surgeons on call, and I had to wait and go to a different hospital during that period to get fixed up. This year, I'd like to have a better Christmas, and I'm planning on not indulging so much, whereas last year I did. But I will indulge some, and that means some sweets. That means maybe some pizza or whatever is offered at work as a treat. And from management, I'm definitely going to have some, but I'm just going to keep it to a minimum so I don't have any issues. Everybody has to look at what affects them and how it affects them best, and try to avoid the things that they're sensitive to. My suggestion is keep the off-course eating to a minimum, but also, in addition to keeping it to a minimum, just understand that, make a choice before it happens so you know how to control it. If you're going to do it, say I'm going to do it, but I'm only going to have a little here or there. Just try to keep it to a minimum. If you find that you just can't do it, try your best not to go off course, but if it happens, accept it and move on, and don't beat yourself up about it. Too many people do things, make mistakes, go off course, and they beat themselves up. There's no point to that. If it happens, just get back on track as soon as you possibly can. We all have challenges in life. I've gone off course many times. This is not, I always say that low-carb ketogenic eating for me is not a couple weeks, a couple months. It's going to continue going long-term. I feel that eating processed carbohydrates is just not effective for me. It doesn't help me. It makes me feel bloated, inflammation in the body. Just not a good plan. So when I do go off course, it'll be for one meal or one food or one, maybe I'll have some chocolates or treats or something, and then I'll go back to my normal way of eating. I will be cautious. I may do some intermittent fasting during that period, whereas I won't eat until maybe noon or dinner time. I won't have breakfast, in other words, or maybe I'll have breakfast and then I won't eat until dinner time. So I'll have a period in between where I'm not eating, and that's called intermittent fasting. In January, I may go and do a little longer fast, but during the Christmas season, I'm not going to do that. I'm just coming up with strategies to help me get through that period. Think about that. Also, you want to be more active during the Christmas season if you can. I know it's cold out there. I'm not a fan of the winter. One thing you can do is maybe wear shoes that you can walk properly, and if it's snowing, that you don't slip and slide and all that kind of thing. But maybe park a little bit farther away from the door every time you go to work, or if you go shopping to a shopping mall or grocery shopping, just park a little farther away from the entrance, and then you'll have a little bit of a walk. And that's a way you can build in some exercise and activity into your day without making it a major effort. So I'm planning on doing that a lot. Whenever I go out, I'll just park at the back of the parking lot or close to the back of the parking lot. That way it allows me to get some exercise without really having to work at it. So that's food. If you have any, if you have any questions on this, feel free to email me. I'll be happy to respond as much as possible. Financial. So it's always expensive during December. This year I have more limited income than I've had, and last year I did as well, but more limited income, so I have to be cautious on the amount of money spent for Christmas and other things. So I'm basically putting a certain amount of money aside, and I'm trying to keep to that. I don't have a lot of extra money anyway, so irregardless, I have to keep to that budget. I have no choice at this point. So if you have a choice and you can put a little extra money aside in case of things that happen that you can't plan for, then I would suggest you do it. What I'm doing is I'm looking at the amount of people I'm buying stuff for, putting X amount of dollars per each person, and trying to keep as close to that as possible. I'm going to put $20 or $30 aside just as a little extra in case there's a night out or an additional gift I need to get. But for me, it's tight, so I'm going to have to be careful this year. I'm going to go visit family and friends, and we're going to have. I think we have a Secret Santa at work, so all of that costs money. Just be cautious and don't be overindulging with the money that you're spending, and try to be honest about how much you're going to spend on each person. I know we all love to give nice gifts. I do too. It's just not possible this year. So keep your mind on your money. Don't be overindulging. Don't be buying expensive gifts if you can't afford it. Now, if you're wealthy and you can afford it and you're watching this video, go to it. Enjoy. But if you're tight and you're watching it, you have credit debt, and you're trying to be careful about not spending too much, then be cautious and do what you need to do. Any questions about? I'll try to be helpful in a specific way, but if you have some challenges that you're not sure how to go about it, I'm happy to try to help. Now, this is the big one about December. It's about emotions and how to deal with relationships, and sometimes you get into conflicts. What do you do? So there's going to be times when emotions run high, Sometimes it's great and you're really having a good time and you're imbibing a little bit in alcohol and you're feeling good. Sometimes those conversations turn where it gets mean-spirited and basically it's a conflict and you want to be able to dial it back because everything is more elevated in the holiday period. Everybody becomes more emotional at times, not all the time, obviously. So you want to find a strategy for you in case you get into that circumstance where you're working or you're talking to somebody and it's just not working out. It's going in the wrong direction. What you want to do to dial it back, and I guess these strategies are good for everything, including your personal relationships and work relationships. Um, in the Christmas season, they're all temporary. Understand that when you get into these conversations, you're going to walk away in an hour or five, or the next day, and you're not going to be maybe seeing that person. They're temporary conversations. Don't get yourself in a situation where there's hard feelings afterwards. If you find that that conversation's really not positive and you're just really not enjoying it, and I know sometimes you feel like you just want to be the winner in the conversation, try to back away and be the humble person, be a humble person, and say, this is a good time of year. I really don't need to be having an argument or a discussion that's passionate with this person. Just say, understand that you have differing points of view and try to back away from the conversation and keep the spirits high. That would be my suggestion, and that's what I'm planning on doing. So anytime I get into a difficult challenge, I'm going to try my best to not let my pride get in the way and just say, you're wrong, I'm right. Everybody feels they're right at times, and it just in the Christmas season it just gets more emotional. So try to be caring, compassionate, and not judgmental, I guess, and just be honest that sometimes there's going to be times when the conversation gets challenging, and just say okay. Think about caring about the other person instead of trying to beat them at the whatever the discussion's about. And let's be honest, it does happen. I'm not going to pretend it doesn't. I hope you don't either. So those are the 3 areas I thought I'd come and talk about. Of course, I'm always talking about diet and food and exercise. So I know this, where are we at time-wise right now? We're at 12 minutes, so I don't want to go on and on and on, but I'll just leave it here. If you do have any questions about what I talked about, I'd love to hear from you at niagaraedge@gmail.com. If you could like this video, please, and if you haven't subscribed and you want to, please do it. I'd love to hear from you. I talk about these 3 topics mainly on a regular basis. A lot about diet, food, and exercise, especially the ketogenic eating. I talk a little bit about money and sometimes about life. And it's all good because we want to work in the right direction to make things more positive, a better way of living. Everybody has challenges. You are not alone. If you have things that you're just not dealing with, well, try to reach out and find some help for it. There's always somebody who's going to be able to help you if you really want it. There's no reason to feel like you're alone. We all feel like we're alone at times. I've had some struggles over the last while because my circumstances changed and I'm trying to cope with it. You can do it. You can do the same thing. It's just to understand there's a lot of resources available to you. And we're all here to help. If I can help in any way, please let me know. I thank you for your time. I appreciate everybody who watches, and I love doing these things, and I hope you have a great December. And I'll be doing another video, of course, but just want to say hi, have a great Sunday, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.